They met behind closed doors in Windhoek. India's PM and Namibia's leaders signed deals worth hundreds of millions on uranium shipments, rare earths, and mining licenses. But what shocked diplomats most was what wasn't on the table: strings tugged by foreign superpowers, promises of aid in exchange for influence or exploitative control. Instead, India and Namibia outlined a new kind of alliance, one built on mutual benefit, clean energy, and mining backed by respect for sovereignty. Within months, agreements were made. India would help Namibia develop its clean hydrogen capacity. Namibia would export critical minerals straight to Indian factories. Traditional pipelines of power were being remapped, and as this new axis gains momentum, the United States, long the dominant external player in Africa, is suddenly facing a rival with a very different playbook. What exactly is happening under this new alliance? What are the stakes for Namibia, for India, for the US, and for Africa as a whole? To understand that, we need to dig into how minerals, tech, clean energy, and geopolitics are colliding and why this might be a turning point. Namibia is best known for diamonds, but beneath its deserts and coastlines lie some of the world's most vital materials for the clean energy future: uranium, rare earth elements, lithium, cobalt, copper, zinc. It ranks fourth globally in uranium oxide production, roughly 11% of global output. Its untapped or underdeveloped reserves of rare earths and battery metals make it strategically valuable, especially as global demand skyrockets. Because of these, international attention is fixated on Namibia not just as a mining site, but increasingly as a partner in shaping supply chains. And that sets up the backdrop for why India is investing heavily. But having minerals is one thing, getting them mined sustainably, processed locally, and turned into value without the extractors walking away with most of the profit is something else. That tension is at the heart of what's shifting now. Stay tuned, because how India wants those minerals and how Namibia wants them used starts reshaping power in Africa, and that has implications even for the US influence on the continent. India isn't just looking for raw materials. It has its own clean energy transition to power, renewable energy, nuclear energy, battery tech, and reducing carbon emissions to meet its climate goals. To secure that, India launched its National Critical Minerals Mission (NCM) to identify, secure, and build supply chains for minerals essential for green tech. It has also joined global alliances or led them, such as the Global Biofuels Alliance (GBA). What all of this means is India isn't acting like a traditional donor or outside power. India is behaving more like a peer, investing, partnering, transferring technology, respecting local rules, and seeking stable, long-term access rather than quick concessions. This approach appeals to Namibia, which has grown wary of arrangements where foreign companies extract resources and leave little behind. But India's strategy also has ripple effects that stretch beyond bilateral deals. It changes who has leverage and how power is exercised in Africa's clean energy and mineral sectors. Next, we'll see how the US has traditionally held that ground and how India's differently framed alliance is probing gaps in the US model. For decades, the US has had influence in Africa through aid, development programs, diplomacy, and security partnerships. It's used financial aid, trade preferences, and soft power to shape relationships, but its model comes with limitations. Aid is often conditional. Trade deals sometimes demand stringent regulatory or governance standards that few countries can fully meet. In the area of minerals and clean tech, the US has recently sought to secure supply chains, especially through its Inflation Reduction Act (IRA) and other policies, but these often favor partners who can meet internal processing, certification, or local content criteria. Many African countries struggle under those conditions. Also, reliance on US capital or technical assistance can mean bureaucratic delays, shifting priorities, and sometimes unequal terms, leading Africa partners to search for alternatives. When India and Namibia began negotiating, these US strengths, aid, diplomacy, promise of markets were still present, but parties on the ground saw growing gaps. India offered what looked more like partnership: fewer overt conditions, faster decisions, technology sharing, investment in processing, not just extraction. In the next section, we'll see how India and Namibia are working out the mechanics of this alliance, how deals are structured, what promises are made, and how this differs from what the US has offered. Several agreements, MOUs, and partnerships have recently been forged that make clear how deep this alliance is becoming. Some key features: mining and mineral supply agreements. India and Namibia revived deals on uranium supply critical for India's nuclear reactors. They are exploring joint exploration of rare earths, lithium, cobalt, copper, etc. Minerals necessary for batteries and renewable technologies. Clean energy and renewables. Namibia has potential in renewable energy projects: solar, wind, green hydrogen. India wants to partner not just as investor but also technology provider. For example, solar power plants like the Kokerboom solar power station are being developed to supply power for mining operations. That's mining being powered cleanly. Digital and infrastructure cooperation. One of the deals involves Namibia adopting India's Unified Payments Interface UPI system for digital payments. That's more than finance, it's about how commerce is run at a foundational level. Technology transfer, training, capacity building. India is providing human resource development through its technical cooperation programs, sustainability, standards, and local beneficiation. India is reportedly pushing for responsible mining practices, labor, environmental standards, and structuring deals so Namibia retains more value, not just exporting raw materials. Namibia wants downstream industries, refining, processing, possibly manufacturing of components, rather than being just a supplier of ores. That changes profit dynamics. All of this reshapes what partnership looks like. The difference is not only what is being done, but how. As this alliance grows, it begins to expose weaknesses in existing influence models. But further ahead lies even deeper change, one that could shift global balances of power. No alliance is perfect. For all the promise, there are real obstacles and risks. How India and Namibia navigate these will determine how far this reshaping of influence goes. Infrastructure and capacity gaps. Namibia has large distances, low density in some regions, power grid issues, lack of refined processing capacity. Extracting is easy. Transforming is harder. Building green hydrogen plants or rare earth processing facilities or local battery factories needs investment, skills, tech, regulatory stability, financing and investment risks. Big projects need capital, private and public. India and Namibia will need to attract investors while ensuring terms that protect Namibia's interests. There is always the risk of cost overruns, corruption or external shocks, commodity price crashes, political instability, etc., environmental, social and governance (ESG) issues. Responsible mining matters, pollution, water usage, land rights, labor conditions. If we see extractive damage, community pushback, or environmental backlash, that could delegitimize the model. Local communities expect jobs, infrastructure, fair compensation. If wealth extraction is seen as benefiting only elite or foreign firms, resentment builds. Global market forces and policy shifts. Demand for minerals could shift. New alternatives might emerge. Clean energy technologies evolve. Trade policies, tariffs, subsidies in the US, EU, China can disrupt supply chains. India's own policy shifts for land, environment, tax also matter. US response and countermoves. The US will likely shift strategies to retain influence. They may offer more favorable terms, push clean tech investment, adjust trade policy, or increase diplomatic efforts. That could lead to competition or even tension. Despite these challenges, there's also scope for breakthroughs. Already, Namibia's solar projects like Kokerboom are partnering with mining firms using renewable energy. India's NCM and plans for clean hydrogen are still early but serious. What happens next depends on whether agreements lead to real action. Will tech transfer happen? Will local beneficiation be realized? Will Namibia be able to add value rather than just exporting ores?